Hi, good day once again, and I'm Michael Stewart, and this is TLC. We're discussing today because it is critical for us to discuss fathers at this time of the year. And I'm going to speak to you on a topic today, fathers are mighty men. And this comes really from the book of Psalm chapter 127 and verse 4, where the Bible talks about, as arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are sons, and one translation says children, in the hands of a youthful man. Therefore, we need to understand that children are really the arrows. And really, it uses the symbol of yesteryear. Years ago, when you used the bow and arrow. The bow and arrow, by the way, is the oldest hunting instrument known to man. One of the oldest, actually. And in those days, you had to make your own bow and arrow in order to be able to go out and hunt. The Bible talks about how if a father has his quiver full of them, of boys, then he is going to be a happy man. Well, it was used for the protection of the city at that time. It was always great to have boy children because you had more fortitude, you had more defense of the city. In today's world, let's see if we could use that same situation to be able to understand what we are talking about today. Boys are like arrows in the hands of a mighty warrior. A father is important in the life of a son. And if we use the same situation, what we would recognize is an arrow, in order for it to be prepared, for it to do the job that it's supposed to do, needed a lot of preparation. So let's use that as the first point that we're going to discuss today. The preparation of the arrow to be able to carry out its role. In the life of every boy, there is need for a father to prepare his son for the world at large. One cannot have a son, or should not have a son, that is just put out there into the world unprepared. We see in society today too many young boys unprepared for society, unprepared for marriage, unprepared for the job world, unprepared to exist and to be able to flourish as well as possible. You pass along the streets, you see on the bridges a number of young, strong, vibrant young boys who are wasting their lives away because they have nothing to do. They do not understand the issues of life. They do not understand how to utilize time to their best capacity. In fact, they are unskilled in many areas, unmarketable because they have not been well prepared. Where does this preparation come from? From the very mighty man. Our fathers need to be there to help our young boys to be able to adequately prepare themselves. So as a son moves around with the father, that son observes the father in a very powerful way as to see how to operate in various spheres of life. When a son sees a father and a mother debate issues, discuss matters, the child understands, in order for me to resolve issues and matters and differences, we can discuss, we can negotiate, we can debate. If that son, however, sees a father abusing a mother, sees a father beating a mother, the son inevitably concludes that's the appropriate way to resolve issues, and will therefore go to school and resolve issues by bullying and beating and dominance. This is why it is important for a father to be able to see sibling rivalry taking place, observe how they do it, observe how it plays out and pans out itself, and intercede appropriately to tell the young man, this is inappropriate, this is appropriate, this is how you do this is how you don't do it. All of that is part of the preparation stage of the arrow. You see, the arrow would have been a normal piece of stick. And that stick really would have been an unfinished instrument. It would have had its bark, it would have had its leaves, and so on. And the mighty man had to spare that piece of stick in order for it to become the right size, to be able to fly through the air, to be able to hit its target. Sons need time in preparation for them to be able to encounter the challenges that they would face in the world. And they will meet quite a bit of challenges. We see people, however, and young men who are incapable of facing the challenges. When you check the suicide rate, when you check the rate and the incidence of deviance among young boys, you can tell that many of them are not coping adequately with what's going on in society. You visit the jails. When you visit the jails, more young men are in jails than young women. And that is not because we outnumber the women, but it is because when you chat with these young men, in these homes, many of them come from fatherless homes or dysfunctional homes, not well prepared for some of the things that they will encounter in life, and cannot therefore grapple and deal with adequately what they are seeing and experiencing in life. So preparation is one. But the Bible says, as arrows in the hands of a mighty man, so are sons in the hands of men of their youth. The other aspect of it is that as you have an arrow in your hand going out to hunt, you must know how many arrows you have to spare. The right man knows that if he's going out to hunt or he's going out to war, that he knows his arsenal. He knows how much he has. He must know whether he has 12 arrows, 11 arrows, 10 arrows, or what have you. Arrows are the sons, the children. Do you know, sir, how many children you have? A man cannot therefore go out to hunt and not be aware of his capacity, of what exists, his assets. And children are an asset. The Bible says in the same book, in earlier verses, that children are an heritage of the Lord. So therefore, these are assets. How many children do you have? Can you account for all of your children? Do you know where they are located? Do you know who they are? Do you know them intimately? Because knowledge is important in dealing with the children, because when that mighty man goes to hunt, when he goes to war, he needs to know which arrow to pull at the right time to hit which target. He must know. He must be familiar with the length of his arrows. He must be familiar with what is on the arrowhead to know which animal he's going to bring down with which arrow. He must know the capacity, the competence, the talent, the abilities. Do you know the talent and ability of your children? You cannot know that if you are not around your children. You cannot know that if you are not intimately involved in them. You've got to be able to be part of their lives to know the potential of your children. There are many young boys with great potential, just latent, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be opened up, but no one around to help them to unfold this potential that is within them. Their potential really is what they are capable of doing, but have not yet discovered that capacity. And oftentimes it is someone else, and in this case a father, who needs to recognize the capacity of his child, of his children, to be able to help them to live in their greatest potential. A number of people, talented, have gone astray. Number of children who would have had a greater chance in life, but have not gotten that fillip, that impetus, that encouragement from a father to be able to achieve that. And you might be a father, and you may have experienced it yourself, where your own father neglected to form and shape and nurture you in a way that you could be able to achieve your greatest potential. Do not do that to your own sons. Be there for them to give them that greatest capacity. So you must be able to prepare your children. You must be able to know your children, know how many you have, know their potential, know their skills. But also, in understanding the passage, we must be able to understand that the hunter must also be able to release his arrows. Not all the time he's going to keep his arrow. The arrow is really used, prepared to be spent, to be sent out. But it must be sent out at the right time. So let's talk about sending out our children. We cannot keep our children under covers forever. We cannot protect them forever. We must be able to prepare them adequately so that they can go out. This is why the Bible says that a man must leave father and mother and now go out there and cleave unto his wife. There are some people so stuck up still in the home, so stuck up still in their parents' homes, that they do not have the wherewithal to go out there and live independently. Who wants to have a child who is growing up and will not walk eventually? It is a burden, it is a hurtful thing on any parent to know that he or she has a child, and that child is not gaining some measure of independence, of stability. And when we grow up our children so that they can learn to be independent, encourage them so that they'll have the education, the skill, and the mental capacity, the emotional framework, so that they can go out there and live independently, we would have done a world of good for that young man. And that young man can be able to go out there now and be able to learn to live on his own out there in the world. But you, sir, you as a father, as the mighty man handling this child, helping this child along, you have that responsibility to be able to bring that child to that state of independence so that when he goes out there and lives in his fullest potential. Also, we must recognize that you cannot let go an arrow too early before it is ready to be spent. Because as that archer, as that hunter, as that gamesman pulls back the arrow against the bow must be pulled back enough to have enough tension to be able to let that arrow fly to the furthest possible point it can. So in managing boys in a home, managing children in a home, there's going to be tension. Do not allow the tension to let you get so frustrated that you release your children into the world before they are ready. So many people have started life off, and when they look back at their life, they regret. They tell themselves, I was not ready for the world. There are girls with children while they are still very young and would have compromised their potential for their study, their career, their dreams, their opportunities, only because they left home too soon. A number of men, boys, adolescents, would have missed off on their youthful days, became men too early. A number of fathers now look back at their life and recognize they never had a childhood because they came into adulthood and adult business too early. And this has affected them psychologically, emotionally, in a number of ways. And some people in their old age try to recapture their childhood that they never had, but they try to get it when it's too late. Allow children to be children. Allow your son to be able to be a son in the home. Do not allow him, by your own training and your own involvement and participation in his life, you can prevent him from coming out into the world too early. But at the same time, don't hold the tension too long. Because, just as we said, create the atmosphere of independence, competence, that the child can be able to come out. But the tension must not allow you to set him free too early. There's going to be arguments in the home. There's going to be the turf war. There's going to be who is really the man in the house. Yes, that is going to take place. But all of that is a necessary part of the upbringing. Because as a boy begins to grow, as a boy begins to find himself and find his feet and find his wings getting ready to soar, he's going to come up against authority figures. Your father is going to be one of the authority figures. Your mother is going to be an authority figure. And yes, all of that is good training and good learning territory. But don't let it explode and get to a crisis state that now you can no longer manage the tension that is taking place. In order for a good arrow to be spent and sent out to hit its mark and hit it properly, I'm telling you, there must be tension in the bow. There must be tension in the house. But how you deal with that tension is what is going to determine your ability and your skill to exist out there. So there's going to be tension. I'm telling you that when we understand the mighty men of God, the mighty men, the role that we have in our families that we must be able to exist with and be able to live in God's glory with, then it becomes one of pride for us to be a father to our sons. It becomes one of joy that we can be there for them. So we must prepare them. Prepare them for the world. Prepare them for the society that they are going to be in. We must also know how many we have. We must ensure that all of our arrows are in the same basket. Don't be having children all over the place. Don't be having children for here, there, and everywhere. Make sure all of your arrows are counted for. And as you count your arrows and as you put them out into the world, make sure that you can be proud of what is going to be produced in society. When you see them launch out, you must know that this is a product of you. Now, let me tell you, long after we are gone as fathers, our children will continue our name. They will continue our legacy. It is therefore important for us as fathers to give them a legacy. Give them something within them that long after they can live with. I'll tell you the difference between an inheritance and a legacy. An inheritance is really something that we leave for our children. A legacy, however, is something that we live and we leave within our children. Those children that we have, we must be able to leave within them something of substance. When a father can leave character, integrity, spirituality, a sense of being God-fearing, we do them more in their life than if we left them a house, if we left them a car, if we left them any material thing. So when we have the arrow in our hands, the children in our hands, let's cherish them while they're at home. Let's cherish them and utilize as much time as possible with them. Because when they are gone out into the world, they are carrying with them a piece of you. They are carrying with them a legacy. What you have taught them is what they will live out there. So as a grandfather, you'll find that a grandfather would leave in his son and leave in his son's son things that even that final son never knew from his grandfather. Why? It came down through the years. The thoughts, the decision-making skills, the attitudes, the way they live their life. You have heard of people who have been in jail, and the son is in jail, and the grandson is in jail. We leave negative all through generations. We call it the generational curse. But that is only the negative. We can leave also positive things for our children. Things that speak of greatness, potential, thrift, savings, attitude that is going to take them for a long, long time. Let me tell you, two things would make an arrow work well. One is the quality of the arrow that is prepared. And two, the skills of the archman. The skill of that mighty man. Because the arrow will go as far as it could fly. But a good archman, a good hunter, and a mighty man is able to position the arrow using wind speed, air currents, and be able to know how to get that arrow to go a bit further than it may have hadn't it had a skilled man behind of it. We as fathers can give our children the best chance in life. We are mighty men. Fathers are mighty men. Why not make it your responsibility as a father, as a dad, as a caring parent? We have got to live in a way that the way we live, we are proud for children to follow exactly as we are. If therefore we don't want our children to smoke, is it right for us to smoke? Is it appropriate for us to send our children to buy cigarettes? If it is integrity we are leaving with them, we should tell them, live as how I live. If therefore we don't want our children to drink alcohol, Should we be drinking alcohol? Should we be encouraging drunkenness between ourselves and our friends and our children there watching? Should we not surrender that period of temporary enjoyment? You know, the Bible says that the joys of the world are really joys only for a season. The pleasures are really seasonal. Should we not give up that pleasure for the sake of ensuring that our children are appropriately taught and brought up in integrity, that they can say, I would love to be like my father? If we are talking about integrity, should a man have a number of women visiting his home? Should he have his children seeing him with a number of different women and seeing him enjoying a certain class of life that makes that son want to live in that sort of way as his father? Should he not therefore govern himself, discipline himself to make sure that he is a pillar of strength and integrity for his son? I submit to you that this is our responsibility as mighty men and fathers in this world. God bless you.